So, hello and welcome to the episode of Magic Bringers Rising chats for December 5th through the 11th. And stay tuned to this episode to find out all about what the full moon, Mars, uh, Gemini, and Sagittarius energies are going to bring for you this week, and how this can be one of the most empowering weeks, 2 weeks that you have coming in quite a while.
Welcome to Magic Bringers Rising Chats, a show by Super Secret Powers. I'm your host, Lindsay Baldessano, and let's get ready for a dose of energy healing, channeled guidance, and humor to keep your intuitive flow open and your roots grounded so you can weave the life of healing, spiritual purpose, and magic that you want.
So, we are past all of the big heavy stuff. I mean, we still have a Mercury retrograde coming this year, and this week will mark the end of this week. On the 11th will mark the pre-shadow phase for that Mercury retrograde. So I mean, we're not completely uh out of the woods on that, but we're coming into a lot of very beautiful energy, a lot of uplifting energy. I mean, the Christmas week is going to be an amazing week, energetic wise. And February is going to quiet right down, and we're going to be in this really quiet space until like mid February, March. So we're going to get that kind of energetic relaxation period, that kind of staycation energy, um, that I think we're all going to need. We've all been needing, probably. Or at least that chance to just be a little bit more quiet internally, because there isn't necessarily any external pressures pushing us or other people around. Um, then it'll just be us, right? Our own personality quirks and flaws. Is what it is. But it is a full moon week. So it is a good week. It is a good week, and it is a very different week for coming into December. The last couple of years, it hasn't been quite as hectic energy, but it will be hectic because Mars is coming in at its closest, and we have lots of Sagittarius energy, of course, because it's December, and we have the Gemini moon, right? And none of these things will inspire relaxation. But between the Mars and the Gemini and the Sagittarius, it's going to stir things up within us, and maybe stir things up out on the roads and at stores. So, maybe we just want to shop at odd hours to keep our own empathy in check, to give ourselves that break of saying, like, you know what, the kids are in bed. One of us should stay at home, make sure the house isn't burning down, and the other one of us should go shopping, and just take that time, um, and make it a little adventure, and make it a little bit of something that isn't going to be, you're out in the peak shopping hours, or you're out feeling like you have to try and battle the world to get what you need. Um, but there will be a fire under your butt, right? Because this is all energy that's meant to push us forward. And so, what I have to say to you today about these energies is, all right, yes, it's a week for focus and a week to watch out for distraction. Because Sagittarius and Gemini, they can get distracted. They can take that sense of adventure, and I need to have the most creative personal solution out there, to the extreme. And it's 2 weeks to Christmas. We don't need that. We don't need that full on distraction mode. So plan when you have time to do a rabbit hole. Give yourself an evening off to rabbit hole a bit, or to push ahead on things like, Christmas gifts or whatever, things that aren't, not like important because they're just a timely thing. We're just trying to get those things knocked out and done. And use your on and off time wisely. You know, up those boundaries a little bit about, when you're going to be working and when you're not going to be working, and hold those boundaries in a very like, just can't do it. Just can't do it today. Today it's, it's after 6. I've already worked, 7 hours. All right. Now it's time to move on to something else, because even if like I'm an online entrepreneur, and so all of my sales stuff relies on me and whatever small team I may or may not have, um, that doesn't mean you don't get a personal life, especially over the holidays. We have to live life too. And we have to show up and make the holidays something, and something meaningful. Um, so really, like, don't binge things, don't rabbit hole things unless you've already made time for that. All right. And if you do find yourself getting that itch and you need to do it, then look at your calendar and see when you can do it and for how long. And set yourself a timer, or set yourself some kind of natural time demarcation, so that it's easy to make that transition between, all right, I'm done with the rabbit hole for now. I have to put this away. I have some good questions I need answered, some good ideas I could move forward with, but now I have to actually like grind out some stuff. Um, and it's a really good time and a really good week to use those. I have to be up, and I won't necessarily say fire, because there's only like one, well, two fiery things about this week, but um, that forceful energy, to use it in a different way and to kind of reconnect with our big goals. And in this way, we're also then kind of reviewing 2022. Um, So watch what you're telling yourself about your choices, about your stories, and the stories you're telling about your choices. So it's a good way to practice reframing things, and you can do that by tapping into that bigger goal that you have. So, for instance, you've been trying to get debt free, right? And that's a hard one to live through, because it's so easy to feel constantly limited if you're on this like really strict budget, or like you always feel like you have to say no, or there's a bit of FOMO around there, like fear of missing out on things, because you can't just afford to, you know, go all in on something, or say like, yes, I'm going to have like the best vacation ever, and I'll just pay it off over the year, because you want to stick to this budget. So retap into that bigger picture of what you're aiming for during this time, right? Because it's so easy to get lost in all the little bumps and all the little twists and turns the road takes and what life throws at us, and assume that that's, what is always going to be, until we can get to this thing. And it always, then, like, at that point, like, our energy is like, ugh, it feels so far off. It's not here. It's not now. Um, so how can it be? And especially as we're coming to the close of this 2022 year that was supposed to be like partnerships and harmony and peace. I mean, I certainly don't feel that way. I think that was a very superficial telling of what 6 turned out to be for a lot of people. Um, I feel like it was more about our relationship to the things in our lives than it was about bringing peace and harmony, in a sense. Um, so really, And not to make this seem like a quantum leap, because I really don't believe in quantum leaping. We have to be where we are now for a reason. But how can you bring this cycle that you're in, this lesson, this bigger goal, a little bit closer to being done? Because maybe that's the best gift we can give ourselves right now. If it is that you were seeking to be debt free, how can you make a large chunk payment to bring that credit card down so you're not paying the interest, or so that you get one thing paid off so you're going into next year with only one bill due, leaving yourself in a better position to chunk that down. So I want you to, see where you are now, wake up a little bit from all those little bumps and all those little ooh moments, and say, like, but here's the path forward. And maybe it's not as hard as I've been making it. Right? So, play with that and see where it takes you over these next 2 weeks, where it takes your thought, where it takes your energy. Because I think especially going into 2023, we need to be a little bit clearer on those big goals, because I think that's part of the mastery that's going to be coming through. And we're not going to be dawdling around so much with, well, what is our relationship with our clients like? What is our relationship to our audience like? What is our relationship and its many levels to, our kids, or to our daughter-in-laws or son-in-laws, or, nuclear family versus non-nuclear family. We were supposed to have worked, I think, a lot of that out and have a clearer sense of what we want to do with it by the end of this year. Yes, in a structural way. And that's the interesting part. I don't think 2022 really hit me, like, personally, in that sense. Like, my relationships didn't change, but how I wanted to handle my relationships changed. Let's put it that way. And that provides a good foundation then for going forward, and having that, um, because it resets boundaries, and it puts you in a much better position then to handle your own personal decision making, and knowing where your boundaries are for creating the ripples that you want to create. So take this as a bit of a review. Now that you've embarked on whatever journey it is you're embarking on, whatever big goal that you've said, like, this has to change, period, end of sentence. Now I have to find how I'm going to change that. So look at how you've changed your relationship to money, to your job, to your on and off hours, to how you want to handle parenting, to, whatever it is that makes sense, and see where that leaves you. See where that has helped bolster you to now dip into a little bit of mastery, to see how you can actually work your energy a little bit more streamlined, maybe, or a little bit with more forethought. Of saying, if I can chunk this down by May, I can be debt free, and maybe even start paying toward or saving towards something else. Going with the money goal for now, for this something else that I want to do. Leaving myself in a better position to, who knows, retire. I don't know. Whatever, wherever it is and wherever you are. It's that kind of beautiful energy that we have, where we can push forward without having to do a lot of things. But in the spirit of popping into pre-shadow Mercury retrograde, it is certainly about looking at how we can build foundations, better foundations, stronger foundations right here, right now. Just, by the way we budget, by the way we look at where our energy is, by the way we begin to, just realign our expectations. So maybe this isn't a big Christmas year, Maybe this is a more meaningful Christmas year that certainly is a lot easier on the budget, especially if you already have some crap stuff around the house. Because if you have to go out and buy it, then is it really all that cheaper? But all the new craft stuff to make all the new projects, see what I mean? But maybe that's exactly what you need in order to focus on, really bringing in the type of relationships and meaningfulness and presence into your life that you need next year, that you want to focus on for next year. So again, we're not looking at like huge changes, but we're looking at how we can approach our own life in these next 2 weeks and use the fire that's available and use that energy of, I need a new adventure, to see our lives and our choices in a way that's going to empower us, keep us in choice with what we know intuitively and logically has to happen. Because as much as intuition might seem like it's illogical at times, it certainly follows its own logic. And I think the more you listen, the more you see the pattern. So I don't feel like logic and intuition are anathema. I think, one is, they kind of feed each other because they're all based on some kind of pattern. Um, but beyond that, my loves, this is a time where you should kind of slow down. I know it's a fire week, but try and slow down a little bit. Try and, almost visualize what that slow burning, strong ember can do for you next year. And in a sense, make time slow down so that you are able to be in this magical place of looking forward to Christmas and looking forward to, seeing the kids under the tree and do all the things that you do for Yule and for Christmas and for Hanukkah and all of those things. And just make that magic last a little bit longer for you, so it doesn't feel like it flew by and you missed it all. All right. Now, before we go to the light language portion, I am running a Rise in 2023 planning party for my dream casting system. If you haven't heard of dream casting, it's something that I had to create for myself because I always thought like I couldn't put things down to planners. I was too intuitive. That never worked. My plans never worked out that way. But yeah, then I wanted to be a business person, and yeah, that shit didn't work. It didn't work to have those big plans and to have things that needed some careful strategy and careful time management, and then to still hold on to the belief that I was too intuitive to work anything out on paper, a calendar, or even a digital calendar. So I had to find a way to use my intuition to make better plans, to use my intuition in a much more strategic way. And it's not harder, it's not more difficult. It's just asking the right questions at the right time so I can get the guidance that I needed when I needed it. And learning to feed into my sense of discernment so that I could get things like timing a little bit closer to what I could expect, so that I could put things in a planner, right? And I had to recognize my own intuitive energy flows, when we're on times and when we're going to be off times for me. What was really going to bolster my sense of self mastery and mastery of my own intuition and mastery of my own sense of time and timing, and therefore confidence, being consistent, and being in this place where I can just, enjoy being me while also working, while also feeling balanced within my own little world. And that is priceless. So I'm At this workshop, I'm going to give you like a quick taster of the full dream casting system so that you can kind of play around with that and work with that as we plan things out. I'm going to take you to, at the very least, to the point where you can begin planning out months, because with dream casting, the bulk of the work is really done on the monthly and the weekly levels. So I can't necessarily dig into that until, we're at the month or the weekly point. But I can give you the tools to help you do it so that when you reach that point and you look back at your seasonal guidelines and you're like, all right, so this is what I said I wanted to tackle. Now here's how I'm going to get the energy and the guidance and everything in alignment so that I can be productive this month, so that I can get some results, so that I can focus and it doesn't feel so willy-nilly and it doesn't feel random and it feels like something I can really build upon with my own energy, with my own intuition, and it's going to feel good. All right, but it's $50, and you can look for the link in the comments on this video for that. It's going to be in a private group, so watch for your emails so you can get the link to the private group for that. And you're going to get a booklet, and we're going to go over stuff about this in the video too. But you're going to get a booklet with the information on how to handle and how to plan and how to manage this number 7 year that we're coming into, the energy behind that number 7 year. And of course, the stories around the eclipses that are coming, because those are always big periods that offer risk and reward. So, you get to certainly see that energy and see where it's going and see how you want to plan into that. Yeah. So if you are some kind of magical go-getter, spiritual entrepreneur, author, somebody who has these big plans and has to be able to figure out a way for you to be able to put these down to paper and for you to build off of and build your dreams into, this is it. You want to check this out. All right. So, on to light language. Please excuse my poopers as we go into this. They have heard the mailman or mail person. But this may feel a little bit different from some of the things I've been doing recently, because I have chosen in the past couple months to just be really fully present here in the moment, to be with the things that I'm holding and be with the things that I know people who are listening to this might be going through, might be struggling with, what feels very present to them. Because I felt, and I still kind of feel like, me just taking off into the, astral realms and pulling out all of this like esoteric stuff in the end. um, may not be what people really need. Maybe it's a form of escapism, and maybe people just need these big, beautiful beings of light to be present with them. So today we're weaving in a little bit of the bigger stuff again. I already know that. I already feel it coming through. So let me just take a moment to anchor this in to me, to this present moment. We need you to begin to wake up again. Wake up again. Things will shift rapidly over these next few months. More in alignment with what feels beneficial to you on the 3D level. Because now we are in or we will be in a much bigger, expansive field for 3D change, for what might seem to you like outward change. Even if it is an inward year, you have already gone very far inward. And now it is time to rebalance some of these things present within you now, so they find expression and harmony and wholeness in the outside world. And it will feel like healing, and it will feel like coming home again. And it will feel like a release of everything that had to have occurred over these last 2 human years for you. There's much more stability available as this energy comes into being. So we also want to remind you that you can take very deep breaths again. Very deep breaths. To recognize that you are safe in the moment, for we feel that these moments brought on in these last 2 years have not felt safe. This will shift. This will shift. And it will be safe to dream again. Dream again. But we do need you to decide how you will meet the moment before you. How you will take that first step back into trust. So we are certainly bringing forward. The energy of the next few weeks is bringing forward supportive energies. Supportive energies And it will help ignite the heart space, ignite the heart, ignite your sense of knowing. You can love your life and love the world you are in again. That potential has never faded. Only different opportunities presenting different types of potentialities for you to choose from. And that has been part of the point, to wait for the resonant relationships to these potentialities that we want to see, to wait for the one or two options that feel strongest and truest and most supportive holistically, and have some faith that we are seeding in new innovation in thought and how things are structured and why they are structured the way they are. To help even more support come through, more real world support. Thank you for being present with us today. If you've resonated with anything in this video, I do ask that you like, or you share, or you follow, or you do all of the above super secret powers in this video. And if you're not in our Magic Bringers Rising group, we're starting to talk all about the dream casting process and what it means to co-create and manifest. Then I will see you next week. But don't forget, you can join Magic Bringers Rising, my free community, on Facebook too. All right. Bye for now.